Welcome to another episode of Growing Your Business Through Referrals podcast, and we'll be right back. Cindy Lee here. I'll get to my guests in just 1 minute. My name is Cindy Lee, and I started this podcast in 2017. And I started the Growing Your Business Through Referrals brand many years ago by connecting people doing a masterclass. I used to do a Facebook masterclass in social media and teach people like how to build those relationships properly. So about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, one of my friends attended my master class and said, "Why do you not have a book? All this content needs to be in a book." And I said, "I'm a horrible writer, typos all over the place." He said, "Who cares? Create the content, send it to a publisher, make your manuscript, and call it a day." And I am so glad to be knocking this out. I'm going to hit it back in November. And a big shout out to Tony. I actually met him about 6 months ago through Mary West Network, and very grateful for their friendship. Thank you for being here.
Well, back at you. A pleasure to be here tonight.
So let's talk first. Let's not talk business, but let's talk social media day, what it means to you to not grow your business, but to grow other people's businesses. How can you make a difference on social media day? Although it's the end of the day here.
In the East, it's almost 7:30. So I think if anything, it's what are you sending out there? And it's easy for a lot of people to go negative and to complain on social media. I call that what most people do. But to me, it's almost controversial to be positive, Cindy. And you see a lot of my social media posts and in my books. I don't hold back, and I'm unabashedly positive. And I also have had some tragedies in life experience. So it's not like I'm naive, but what you focus on, you get more of. And sometimes life will throw curveballs at us, like a death of a parent or caring for a parent or a child that's in trouble. This is the reality. So it doesn't mean that life doesn't happen, but it's how you respond to it versus reacting. And to me, social media is a wonderful platform if it's used right for positivity. And you're always going to have doubters and trolls. That's part of the game. I get some people that have followed me for 10 years, and once in a while they'll make a comment. It's like, "You're too positive." Well, that's not how it really goes. I just like the comments. Now, if they continue on, I might message them or I might have to unfollow them. And occasionally I block people. But some people just get really wound up that life can be good. And life is short. You've seen that. We've had aging parents. My mother's 88. My father passed away many years ago. I've had many friends pass on. So I said, you know what? To honor them, why not have more joy each day? Every day is a gift. People go, "That's cliche." Well, it beats the alternative. 1 million people on average each day wake up, don't wake up. They die from whatever cause.
Tomorrow, we don't know. Yeah.
Yep. So I just look at it as a great extension to be positive, to spread a different type of message. And to me, it's controversial and almost like strangely, I wouldn't say cryptic, but like, wow, you're positive? Haven't you seen what's going on? Well, I choose to focus more on each day what I prefer. And positivity and negative, there's only one or two options. So choose wisely.
So I'm going to talk about in a couple of things I talked at earlier podcasts. This is my 4th podcast today. So Media Day is really powerful for me because many years ago when it first came about, there was a Facebook friend of mine whose niece was in an accident. She was riding her bike probably about an hour out of Sacramento, and she lost control of her bike and hit her head at a park semi. So I reached out to some friends like, "Hey, social media day is coming up. Why don't we do this amazing event, get all these people together, do a fundraiser, and have this comedian come out?" So I paid this comedian from LA to come out, pay for her hotel. And it was absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
So little things like that, you can use social media day to pay it forward to a nonprofit. Nonprofit day is coming up actually in August. So one of the things that I've been dealing with over the last year, I've lost 3 friends, and one of the friends just passed away I think it was the end of March. And so what we would do every single week, we would call each other. "Hey, how you doing today?" "Oh, I'm doing great." "So what was the best part about today? And what are you going to do to add a little aloha or sunshine to someone else?" I said, "Well, I got to go now. I don't have time for a meeting right now, but let's chat later. But I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking of you and I love you and I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And that thing went on for almost 6 years. We did that
Wow.
every single week. So little things like that. And just like you, I've lost friendships because people didn't like that I was only talking about good things. And I've talked
Mhm.
about bad things when my mom was going through the
Yeah.
hallucinations,
Yeah.
different things like that. But that's just something to help you manage and navigate, through the things you're going through. So I mainly posted about that so people get to know about the disease. And like I told you, my publisher wants me to write a book about that as well. But it's just so important to realize that we have the day we're born and the day we pass away. And
Yep.
there's that in between time. It's called dash. Not many
Correct.
people are living the dash. I actually was existing in my life until my 40s, and I'm going to be 61 at the end of July. So it's important to think of people, call them, say, hey, are you looking for a referral today? Hey, I would like to do a video testimonial. I belong to a networking group in San Diego, and I had two of the members on today. And at the end of the video, I popped off and I recorded them talking about the owner, the founder of that organization.
Oh,
So now
wow.
I'm putting that out. So little things like that is really going to make a difference. But today's topic is fear. Face everything and rise. So I'll have you go ahead and tell your story on that, and then I'll end the show on my story.
Well, I think what's interesting is I'll come to that, but I want to say something really fast to add to what you said about the power of positivity in social media and the fear point. I had a friend pass away when I was out in the desert, literally last month at my event called Life by Design. Her name was Marty Johnson. She was a comedian,
Oh, I'm
early
so sorry.
60s. And I got the post. I went. It's outdoor activity in Sedona. So that night, I looked at my phone real quick and I saw that her family had taken over her page. That Marty passed away, and I was stunned. And I kid you not, 2 days later, we were still at the event. This would have been approximately, I think, May 17th. I
Mm-hmm.
looked at my memories on Facebook because it'll pop up on your phone or your laptop. And there was a repost, and it was 5 years earlier from Marty that said, Tony, I really needed this today. Thank you so much. It was one of my posts about positivity and dealing with critics. And I
Yeah.
almost lost it because I'm like, wow, what is the timing of her passing 2 days earlier? Then a memory comes from 5 years ago of a post I put out to thousands of people each day, and it really impacted her. And she commented and reshared it. I call that a God wink. And I
Yeah.
was already stunned that she was gone. She was a stand-up comedian. Just everybody in Traverse City, Michigan loved her and knew her. She was like the mayor. So we never know the ripple effect of positivity all those years later. And then
Mhm.
2 days after my friend passed away, that memory popped up.
Wow.
So to me, it's that positive ripple effect. And let's move it into the fear question. And to me, fear is oftentimes our ability to sit there and overthink. They call it goal setting in reverse, Cindy. Some of my
Yeah.
teachers have said that. And we have a tendency to ruminate about what if this happens? What if that? And we don't ask the right questions as what if it does happen? What if it is possible? And what are some steps I can take right now instead of thinking about it? And the quickest way I've advised all my clients in a lot of my books, you've read a couple of them, is get moving. If you sit down and you're thinking and overthinking, you're afraid, get up and take a walk, even if it's
Mhm.
outside your house.
Oh,
Put
yeah.
on some music. Maybe it's Bob Marley or it's maybe Keith Urban, something that you're really into that really gets your engine roaring. But pattern interrupt directly over your fear. Tony Robbins has taught it for years. I'm the other Tony R. Okay. I see
Yeah.
my website coming up there. And I look at it and say, you know what? I use pattern interrupts throughout the day when I'm in a downward spiral. It happens to me. I'll give you the biggest myth. People will come up to me at live events or after a Zoom or maybe it's a Teams training, and they'll say in the comments, "Boy, you're always positive." Let me be very clear. I'm not. Um, there are days I have to utilize my own teachings. I use pattern interrupts to override a mental loop that might be going downward, where I've gotten 3 emails in a row that says, "Hey, we were going to book you, but we went with somebody else." Hey, you didn't get that TEDx talk you applied for. And I get a lot of rejection still, 22 years full time into this, in 10 books and over 1,000 paid speeches. So I say that for credibility that, hey, I have to still be out there hustling, pursuing. I appreciate you showing up, some of the other books we've written, they call me the hope dealer. Okay.
Yeah.
And Cindy, some people look at me like, what are you wearing? And a lot of people go, that's a really cool shirt. And that power of words and symbolism and what message are you wearing or are you sending out with your actions, your words, and what you're wearing is a big deal. So I gave the audience here that is either live or may see this later on, I call it time shifting if they catch the interview later on. But you have to think, is fear going to stop me? Or is it also going to maybe motivate me? Which decision are you going to make? And again, we all procrastinate. People ask me, how do you get everything done? Well, I get certain things done because I have goals and deadlines to do that. And I also have coaches and my team to hold me accountable. I set a lot. Does not mean I get everything done exactly on schedule, though. So to me, I also want you to think that sometimes you just need a good night's sleep. Maybe you go read a good book about spirituality or a positive book. You put on a documentary. In the new book, Don't Quit, Do It, I list several what I call pattern interrupts. And when we do our live event in Arizona every year, Life by Design, in the circle, when I teach, we go through pattern interrupts and how to use them, especially now in such a negative, fear-based world, Cindy. And I had the group go around and tell me what are one or two of their favorite ways they get out of a negative mental loop of fear. And by the time we're done in 30, 40 minutes, we've got 10 more additional ways that we share with each other and write them down and refer back to, because life is right now, especially on social media, a lot of the media is programming constant fear. Breaking news, weather alerts, war in the Middle East, gas prices. They're trying to get everybody ginned up, completely ginned up on fear. And I say, you know what? Bull crap on that. I've had enough of this. There are millions of amazing miracles and good things that are going on every minute of every day on this planet. Challenge is you either focus on them or you can share the good stories. So it's one of those things that it's a universal challenge / problem. We all have fears, but I think the quickest way that I will give you, if I gave you 3, is to take action, to interrupt the negative loop when you start to go into a rumination set of fear in your thoughts. And then 3, another one I'll share with you is pick up the phone and call a friend or text a friend or a loved one, and make sure it's the right one, because we all have relatives, Cindy. There's a few that you only want to see on the holiday, and that's about it. We love them, but we can't be around them for too long.
Yes.
So use discretion, but there are many ways that a lot of times we forget when we're in the heat of the moment, or it feels like the world's crashing down, that I say, you know what? Have your journals ready. Have your list ready to go. Have, all sorts of things. If you feel like, man, I've been too much of a funk for like an hour or two, get up, movement, meditation, music. There's a variety of ways. So I appreciate that question, because I'm usually not asked that directly. And to me, it's a daily challenge that every human must deal with, is really fear and procrastination. Those are the big 2.
So overcoming fear. So what is fear? Face everything and rise. For me, I am terrified of the ocean, and I've surfed twice.
Wow.
Why? Because I met my surf instructor back in 2018. I said, I've been wanting to surf. I'm originally from Northern California, from Santa Cruz. I want to learn how to surf. And he's like, do you swim? I'm like, no. He goes, take some swimming lessons. So I went to my friend's pool and, I practiced a little bit. Truthfully, when you're getting a surf lesson, you're waist high. The first time I kind of just rolled in. And then the next year when I took my surf lesson, I was actually able to pop up. But I was scared the whole time.
Yeah.
And it took me forever to pop up. And I hit the sandbar, face first. But it was really fun. And so just things like that. If you're afraid of something, find an accountability partner. That's super crucial. Just like for my book, I have an accountability partner. Get the chapters, get the manuscript, do this, do that. And so we actually keep each other accountable on different things. So that's really good for your wellness. Coming up in August is National Wellness Month. So think of ways to work on yourself and work on your business.
Awesome.
You want to start a new tribe. This is important.
I'm glad you shared that story, because that's real. And we all have vulnerabilities. And when you face the fear, that also is inspiring someone else. It might be like, I've been waiting to do something for too long. They might hear you or me or both of us. And tonight they may take action on something.
So what my instructor says, he goes, you know what the problem is? Between your ears, your mindset. Because your mind will do all kinds of stuff. Just like if you have people who are constantly talking down to you, saying, don't be positive, don't do this, don't do that, don't start a business. When I started my travel business, Bucket List Coach, There was a person that I was in another business with that said, I don't like Bucket List Coach. I don't like the name. I don't think it'll ever be successful. So here, all these years later, I have an agency, I have a web show. So never listen to the naysayers. Just like Gary Vee says, I'm not going to say some of the things he says because this is a family
Yeah.
show, but a lot of what he says is true.
Yeah.
And it's okay to remove your tribe and start a new tribe because you need to be around people who are positive, who are lifting you up, not turning, talking down and, or going on your Facebook page and all this negative stuff. Be positive. If you don't have anything nice to say, keep on scrolling.
Well, the other thing too is it's I mention this sometimes to audiences. I say, look, if your Facebook or Instagram feed is fairly negative, you have to look at the mirror and say, I need to start unfollowing these people or unsubscribing because
Yeah,
you're curating who you're seeing back on the feeds.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times if people are like, man, my kids are like, man, you got all these positive memes, your friends are doing cool stuff, there's business owners or artists, that's curated carefully. And about every 2-3 months, I see someone that's popping up that's kind of like bringing me down. I might unfollow them for 30 days. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. I don't need a full echo chamber of constant positivity. However, if someone's abusing that and they're constantly, nagging or whining, we unfollow them for 30 days at least. So again, you curate, not you and I know this, but the audience, what you're seeing. And we're allowed to change. I talk a lot about that in all my writings is that, you don't have to wait another year. You can start right now to make a change. And you can have a moment where you say, I've had enough. Jim Rohn taught me 30 years ago in a live event, who coached Tony Robbins and millions of other folks like us, is that the day that turns your life around, where you get disgusted, you get angry, you get mad. And channeling your anger and disgust towards a positive mission is usually what drives a lot of innovation and positive growth long term. Someone says, I've had enough of this fear. I've had enough of living this way. I've had enough of being broke, so I'm going to start a part-time side hustle. Whatever you got to do to get yourself motivated, sometimes you will have to hit the darkness of disgust to climb right back up. There's only one way up at the bottom, is to keep going. Get back up and start moving forward.
And you know what the worst thing that most business owners or just people in general are doing? I don't have the money. I'm broke. Do not say that, because if you say that, guess what? You will never have the money. You'll always be broke. Change your mind. And one of the things I talk about in my book is the affirmations and I am statements.
So those are awesome.
One of my friends wrote this book all about I ams, right? So I look at it every morning. And so I am statements is from your subconscious mind. So you don't have to have that statement right now. Like say you want, let's just say 500,000 in the bank by December 31st of this year. Tell yourself that every single day. And you want to surround yourself by those who celebrate you, not tolerate you. That's super crucial. And it's okay, like I said earlier, to remove some of that tribe. And I don't believe in the 30 days. I believe see you later, hasta la vista.
Okay.
And find your new tribe.
Yeah. Well, and I want to add something. This is interesting. I do I am statements every day. I do my gratitude list. I write my handwritten gratitude list.
Oh, yeah.
I repeat my I am statements. A lot of times when I'm walking or if I'm traveling, driving, if I don't have a podcast going or walking the boardwalk here by Lake Michigan, one of mine is I am blessed, happy, and prosperous. And I'll say that over and over. I enjoy abundance each and every day of my life. I'm grateful for now, the present point of power today. And I'll say that, and it may sound hokey to some people, but you deliberately program your subconscious. And I have 10 main I ams I go to in my mind throughout the day. And it's helped me a lot. I want to add something to it. Some people get discouraged with goal setting or maybe even the I am. They go, well, it didn't happen in the 6 months. Well, maybe it happened a year later, but you had to kept programming the subconscious mind with current affirmations to override. And a lot of times our goals don't arrive exactly on schedule. Same with opportunity. It never doesn't just show up on a silver platter with like a rose like the Bachelor. Now, here's your opportunity. No, it usually shows up at the worst possible time. And you have to be able to say, there's something going on here. It doesn't make sense. And you take that leap of faith. And it doesn't mean that you keep, every impulse you have, but you'll sometimes get that God wink, that nudge, intuition from the other side. Like this, I've seen this now 3 times. I need to move on this. So I'm glad you brought up I ams. It's another great, powerful antidote to negativity is to loop. I'll share this. I used to have a huge fear of flying until about my late 30s. I'm 53
Oh,
now.
wow. Okay.
And I had a horrible flight when I was a kid from the Bahamas with my siblings, and it traumatized the hell out of me for years. And I had to learn, okay, what are some tapping methods? What are affirmations? What music do I put on? I always get a window seat, Cindy, on every
Oh,
flight.
so do I, 'cause I'm an aviation
If we're going to
podcast.
crash, I want to see what's going on.
Woo!
But
Yeah.
we'll go through sometimes, occasionally. I've pretty much conquered it. Once in a while, if we get a real rough flight or we're flying through a storm, I'll go through my affirmations. I am
Oh,
calm. I am calm, centered, and certain
yeah.
of the Holy Spirit's miracles each day. And sometimes I'll repeat that for like 2-3 minutes during turbulence in my head, and I'll be tapping away. I might have music on. I am calm, centered, and certain of the Holy Spirit's miracles. And it may sound weird, but it's another way to override my body's cortisol saying fight or flight, terrified. Nope. We're going to override the moment. Sometimes I'll have a book on the flight and I'm laughing, reading a comedy book. And then while there's planes shaking, I'm like, I will not let this moment terrify me like an 11-year-old child, like it did years ago.
Yeah.
So that's, and I thought for years it might ruin my career, but I'm like, you better get on the plane because that's what you're all going to be doing. And for 20 years, I lived on airplanes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is a why. So I'm going to tell you a why story, and this is pretty powerful. So I started my bucket list brand back in 2012, and I said, maybe it's just the blogging thing. Maybe it's not going to work. So I got rid of bucketlistcoach.com. Someone else has that now. 2017, I went to Santa Cruz because I like going to different museums, especially the surfing museum. It's really great to see all the history and everything. And when I'm in the community and I'm walking, wherever I'm walking, I always like to compliment someone or say hi. So I get out of the museum. I see this young man, maybe early 30s.
Okay.
And I said, how are you doing? He goes, hi, ma'am. I'm doing great. He goes, do you know I have a bucket list? And he has 2 bucket lists. One of them I think has Brazil or something, and the other one it's like torn in the corner. So I got this feeling from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. Wow. I'm the original bucket list coach. Maybe I need to go a little further on this. So a year later, because Anthony Bourdain was the reason I started my brand.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
2018, sadly, that's the year he passed away. That's the year that I started my agency. So, but can you imagine, like, in your head and talking to God, like, oh, I know that there's a bigger something that's going to move, what is that bigger something? And that's what it was. I meet a guy that I don't even know, and he's showing me his bucket list.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Having a why is important. And I have a video and a photo. I like to share it a couple times a year. It'll come through, my memories, like you were talking earlier. But when I'm having a bad day, when I started my travel agency, I had 1 travel agent. I have over 65 travel agents now.
Wow, congrats.
When I would have a bad day, I would look at that photo, or I would look at that list that he sent me.
Yep. That calls for cowbell.
Yeah. So your why is important because you never know what your why is going to lead to. How about you?
My big why is to help 1 million people with positive information by the age of 65. So I've got 11 years. I turn 54 next month. Like you, we're both Leos. Pre-birthdays, happy birthday, back and forth. So the next 11 years, however that happens. So tonight, however many people we reach, that goes towards the 1 million. Podcast interviews, book sales, live events I host, events I speak at. And if we hit up, let's say we get on, one of my main goals is to get like on a Theo Vaughn or a Joe Rogan or a Mel Robbins podcast the next year or 2. If we hit that goal, then the number would accelerate. We're at another 0. So it's positive information to at least 1 million people the next decade. And if we get some breaks, God winks that occur, and we get on a major podcast or 2, then we'll just add more zeros. So it drives me. My kids are grown. They work at my events. Very proud of them, but I have to have something to do. I don't think I could ever fully retire, Cindy. I'd go crazy after about 2 weeks. So I say, Lord, one day at a time, let's keep writing. The 10th book that I sent you, Don't Quit, Do It, released this year. And we're still promoting that, the next probably 6 months to a year. But the goal is also to write 1 book pretty much every year until 64, 65. So by 65, I'm hoping to have book number 20 done in the series. Some might be co-authored. Who knows, a children's book. But it gives me another North Star amongst helping people to keep creating and creating to serve more people.
And how do we get rid of those naysayers? I mean, I know what to do. What do you want to do to get rid of the naysayers? Because they're just always going to come back, you know?
I don't know if you really ever fully can. I think
Yeah.
what you can do is limit the amount of time that they take. And
Yeah.
I also want to throw this out to your audiences. I also believe in studying a lot of stoicism because it teaches you that people, you can react or not. They can be doing weird things around you, and you sometimes have to look at them and be like, I'm not going to react to this or engage their
Life
energy.
is all about how you react to things. Yeah.
Yep. I want to engage their energy dynamic. And, a lot of times I walk on the boardwalk and you see weird things where I'm at, and I have my headphones on in my shade. Some people will like look at me or try to come up to me, and I might be like, I just keep going, like I'm in a flow. It doesn't mean that I'm rude. And I had a shirt on yesterday walking. It said, be kind to others.
Mhm.
And I had a young kid with a group of about 10 teenagers walk up and do a fist bump. Like, I love your shirt, man. So,
Yep.
sometimes I'll engage that way, but watch
Mhm.
what you're listening to, what you're surrounding yourself with, what you're consuming online, offline, and really do an audit every few months of who you spend the most of your time with. And that'll be very revealing, Cindy, if they're bringing you up, if they're keeping you the same, like their level, or they're encouraging you and being, hey, supportive, because a lot of times some of those people closest to you really don't want you to succeed. And I've become much more adamant the last few years in front of groups and on stages and interviews such as this, that not everyone's rooting for you. And a lot of times it's those people that you thought were closest to you because they don't want you to get hurt, or they're jealous if you move a little bit ahead of them. I have ex-partners, many of them I get along with, but I have a couple of former partners that just think I'm the devil. And it's not, and I just go, hey, I wish you well. I extend love and forgiveness to you. I want you to have a good life. It didn't work out, but they're rooting against me. And I have to go, you know what? That's just part of the deal. You're not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But I still do my best to extend love and forgiveness to them, because I don't want to be thinking, well, I'm motivated to show them up. I used to think like that years ago, but I realize if that's your main driver, guess who's still haunting you? That person that you're trying to get even with. So it makes no sense to me at this age to have like, my parent was bad to me, I want to show them up. Why? Then they're still stuck in your brain rent free. So watch the focus, watch who you're around, and watch what you're consuming and what you're programming into your head each day. I always say this: let the voice in your head be your biggest ally, not your biggest critic. Because our self-talk is either building us up, keeping us the same, too comfortable, or it's bringing us way down. So to me, that mental game is everything every day.
That's super crucial. So we have about 5 minutes left. Anything else you would like to cover on fear or paying it forward? Because it's really important to think of other people first before you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I don't usually do this, but it's going to be shameless. But here I go. Okay. I've talked about this book, Don't Quit, Do It. I know you have a copy of it. That's how we met, was through Mary West Network that interviewed me about the book. Okay. When it just launched. There's a specific chapter. There's 50 lessons in the book. Okay. From the pages and stages of life. One of the chapters is called Giving Back. To me, it's a non-negotiable. Money it's like Jack Canfield taught me years ago, chicken soup guy. Money is like manure. You got to spread it around. Otherwise it stinks. Manure is there to spread around, to grow other entities, people, whatever. But the point is, if you're too selfish, you're gonna be from a fear-based lack mindset. And some of the simplest things I've been taught by my mentors over the years is to tithe 5%, 10%. Some of it you might want to do publicly. A lot of it I do privately. Even when I've had financial challenges, which happens when you're self-employed, I still have auto deduct. I've had times where I'm tithing where I don't have much money, and I'm like, all right, it'll come back. But it's a great reminder that, other people that are less fortunate need our help. And find something that you're really into. I'll give you one quick example here. When I was out with my friend Vegas, Devin, when he lived there, many times we go grab $100 bill. We'd go down to like a Dollar General, we'd buy bottled waters, chips, fruits and stuff. We go down, not on the main strip. We'd go over towards Henderson area in Boulder City, and we would go down and we'd feed homeless people out of the back of the truck. And we didn't put pictures on Facebook. And that was the most joyful thing I've ever done in my life, besides being a dad and the birth of my children, was giving to complete strangers. Not for show, not for YouTube or Facebook videos. And I remember one time there was a black man, probably in his late 50s. He was homeless, obviously, and I gave him some chips and a water. And he looked up at me, and his eyes and his smile was so beautiful. I froze. It was like we had a human connection. I
Yeah.
saw humanity, that we're all the same. And my friend Devin was in the car. He goes, dude, I saw what happened. And I got back and he goes, do you see what I said? I felt it. I looked in his eyes and that joyful child smile of like just compassion. You can't buy that. And my hair standing up in my office as I'm telling you the story. I told my daughter this. I was like, it was the coolest moment I've had in years
Yeah.
of the power of giving without show or for status.
That's your white story, just like my white story. Yeah, that it gives you the chills. Yep.
So that power of giving is beautiful. And we can do it every day. It's simple little acts. A lot of times you don't need publicity or have to put it on Facebook. Do it because it feels good and it's giving back and it sends a positive ripple out to people.
Yes, that's so true. So at the end of the show, I always talk about what are some of the things you're going to pay it forward to a complete stranger. Let's say over the next week.
My big thing, it's not a stranger, but it's my mom. Okay. I'm going to be bringing down some stuff this 4th of July weekend to her that'll surprise her. You're like, oh my gosh, so it's sometimes it's surprising your family. For me, I've thought about volunteering at the local Humane Society chapter for a few months. So maybe this is the prompting now where I say, you know what, let's look at this now. Cause I travel so much, Cindy, that me having a dog or a cat is really impractical. I'm on the road a lot. So I thought, I miss having my animals. I'm single right now. I don't have a partner. My partners have had animals in the past. So I'm like, maybe that's my outlet to serve, cats and dogs is to volunteer at the Humane Society. I get my cat and dog fix, but I can leave. You know what I mean? So that's one that I think I'm going to explore, my friend.
Yeah, I know. I have the $1,000 a month club. Her name is Dana the Black Lab. She has her own social media.
Awesome.
85 pounds. She's part Black Lab, probably about 5% Great Dane. And vacation is $600-700 for her.
Yep.
But it's so worth it to just see her, and being a pet parent is pretty amazing. So
awesome. Good work, Mama.
All right. Call to action. What call to action do you have today? And then I'll give mine and we'll close out.
First of all, don't be afraid to ask from the world. There's plenty of abundance out there, and to be very grateful and use some of the things we shared, that if you're having a down moment, call a friend, do your affirmations, do your I am statements, read a book, take a walk, put on music, get out in nature, interrupt that negative loop the best you can. If someone wants to find me, I'm sure it's all over here. You can mention my website, but you Google my name, follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I post daily with our team. We post a lot. And it's to get the message out there that every day there's something grateful that you can be talking about or sharing with the world.
My call to action today, if you subscribe to Growing Your Business Through Referrals on YouTube, you actually go to this video or any of the videos that are on the podcast, you share it, you comment, you will get in the winning for a National Day calendar, which is actually really amazing. And real quick before we close out, I'm all about the aloha, and this Sunday is National Hawaii Day. So find a local Hawaiian restaurant or one that has like sushi or like an ahi poke and pay it forward to them. But check out nationaldaycalendar.com, and you could be an ambassador like myself, where you get to share all these national holidays. They do a free article. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. That's Growing Your Business Through Referrals, and be the connector. Make sure that you practice that kindness every single day and make it contagious. This is Cindy and Tony, and we will see you on the next podcast.